It happens to be my son Ori's birthday. Yes, my oldest son was born on his day. I'm not going to tell you what year, but you could do me a big favor. Wish my son Ori a very happy birthday. You have no idea how proud I am of this young man. You can follow him on Instagram, on Facebook. All right, Spado Construction Business. Spado Construction in Florida. Folks, you got to see the pools he builds. You will be amazed. Okay? I wanted to put that in there. Folks, this morning I'm coming to you live from what they call the Wilshire Corridor. Okay? All right, Museum Row. Good morning, Busker, Joey, how are you? And folks, across, I'm going to take a little walk over there. That's the Labrea Tar Pits. But first, I want to tell you about a robbery. A lot of robberies. Okay? You know, you folks, you put on your TV, you see they robbed this Walgreens, they robbed this, you people break in, take stuff, run, and rob. Well, that's very stupid, okay? Very dumb. Folks, our robberies were always planned. Me and my partner, I gotta say, we were the best. I did a lot of robberies at jewelry stores and pawn shops in Florida. And you gotta read my book, okay? To hear about those there, all right? Thank you, Ivan. Folks, hit that like button. Please subscribe. Now, folks, over here, okay, I was indicted for this robbery that took place in Burbank, California. Now, you think I just picked this thing out of the air? No, because the person who lived there wanted to be robbed because she had a safe that she couldn't open. Her husband, who got deported, claimed there was $1 million in it. I met her over here, was the restaurant Marie Callender. I met her here a couple times where I planned it out, and I had two guys come from New York with DEA outfits. Whole thing, you got to read about it. It's in my book, okay? And once again, for all you folks here, okay, it's my son Ori's birthday in Florida. Please try to follow him on Instagram, Spado Pool Construction, and wish him a happy birthday. I'd appreciate that, folks, okay? And you got to see the work this kid does. Anyways, folks, that's how most of our robberies took place. In Florida, we robbed jewelry stores, pawn shops. They were always, the owner wanted to be robbed. Now, why would the owners want to be robbed? Because their businesses were struggling. But they had inventory that was worth something. And they had insurance. You hear that, folks? They had insurance. You know, all those robberies we did in Florida, nobody ever got caught. You got to hear the stories, though. Some of them are so funny. It's unbelievable. You know, folks, I never seen this apartment building here because I really never come back on this street. It's a beautiful building there. And look at all the buses. I don't know why the buses are here. School buses. Bringing children to the Labrea Tar Pits. That's what I think. I'm not sure. Let's see, we got this guy that works here. How you doing, sir? You work here?
Yes, sir.
At the Labrea Tar Pits?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm on my YouTube channel. Got a lot of people here.
Yeah.
Am I able to walk around in there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, folks. What is the Labrea Tar Pits? I don't know how far I can go in here. I'm not going to pay to go in. Okay? And here's another worker. You work here?
Do I work here?
Yeah. No? Okay. No, he don't work there. You can see it's a beautiful place. Look at over there, elephant. There have dug items out over here that are thousands and thousands of years old, folks. Okay. I can't tell you what they are. I'm not an expert at this. I remember visiting this many, many years ago. Okay. When my children were young, I brought them here. Okay. Well, let's see what we can see. You see Labrea Tar Pits Museum. I guess that's the entrance over there. Okay, I'm not going to go in there. I'm not going to pay, but let's go over here and see what all this says. So you folks, if you ever want to visit Los Angeles, we do have, and we got some great museums, things that you want to see. It's just amazing, folks. Okay? Right here on Wilshire Boulevard. All right? And here we are. They call this Lake Pit. I know you want to hear more about the robberies, but let's talk about this. This is interesting. Okay? Yeah. Okay, let's read this, folks. Okay? Buried oil makes great gold. This lake is actually a pit left over from asphalt mining operations in the late 1800s. At that time, Labrea Tar was mined to seal roofs and roads. Okay, folks, sorry I lost you there for a moment. Okay? My son was calling me. I have to call him back. George Allen Hancock donated 23 acres of his family's ranch to the county of Los Angeles in 1924. That's before I was born, okay? His goal, protect these tar pits and their fossil treasure for future generations. From the 1870s to the early 1900s, 2 generations of the Hancock family operated asphalt mines and a ranch, drilled oil wells, and safeguarded the Brea's fossils. All right? There's tar trap animals, asphalt mine operates, first fossil conformed. Geologist William Denton is the first to unlock Labrea's secret at Major Hancock's request. He examines a fossil found at this lake pit. He turns that it belonged to an ancient animal, a saber-toothed cat. A saber-toothed cat. Have any of you ever seen any of those? Okay. That's what it looks like through the fence there, folks. Okay. There's some of the fossils they uncovered. Folks, keep hitting that like and subscribing button. Okay, help me over here. All right? I know everybody wants to hear about robberies. We'll get back to more robberies. Okay? But let's read this over here. Good morning, how are you? Huh? When mammoths walked on Wilshire. Look up, folks. Columbian mammoths lived right here during the last ice age. We call the ice age because thick ice sheets cover parts of the globe and cooled the planet. Even parts that weren't ice covered, like Los Angeles, were cooler than now. We study fossils found here to discover what survival and what went extinct during the Ice Age. Look at Columbian mammoth. That's what that is over there. Saber-toothed cat. Yesterday's camel. Highlands ground sloth, whatever that. Short-faced bear. Insects, coyote, bats, frogs, rabbit. You name it, folks. Okay? They've been digging these places out. Look at that there, coming out of Labrea Tar pits. Okay? Take a look, folks. This is real. All right? You can see the tar pit there. That's definitely tar. That's not a lake to go swimming in. Okay? I don't know about you, but I'm interested in hauling this shit. Okay? Right here off of Worcester Boulevard. These are the kind of things we have in Los Angeles, folks. So, all right, you want to hear more about the robberies? Let me tell you what happened with this robbery, okay? And I'm going to tell you more if you keep hitting like that like button, okay? You want to hear more about it? I got an indictment on that. That's how I ended up serving time on a robbery that was not a robbery. But the feds don't care. Guess what? That gal that came to me to be robbed, she left the country after that. The feds couldn't find her. Now the robbery got foiled because her niece was at the house. And when my guys got in the house, she came down the stairs. And she saw them. And she screamed and they left. Okay? Because they didn't expect somebody else to be there. And I wasn't told there'd be somebody else there. And guess what? The feds couldn't use her as a witness. And they would not want to use the niece because my private investigator found her and talked to her, and I got the statement at home of what she said. She said it seemed like her aunt wanted to be robbed. Okay? Folks, I ended up doing 62 months on that charge because those guys had a gun that another rat said that I gave to my co-defendant. Do you think I did give him a gun? Or do you think no? Okay? All right? There's Mandy. Mandy made it. God bless you, Mandy. Thank you. Look at this squirrel going up the tree there. Huh? It's cute, huh? Okay, here. I got a little shade over here on this bench. All right, I can see some of you. There's Boy Tougher. Tongue. Huh. Ivan, thank you, buddy. Okay. Folks, come on, help me out. Help me build the channel. You've been doing a great job lately with the likes and subscribing to my channel. And a lot of you have been hitting that thanks button. Okay, that helps me out tremendously. All right? So, if any of you got a few extra bucks, I hate to ask, but, you know, do what you can. If not, I understand. Don't worry about it. Folks, this place is big. Look over there. I don't even know what that is. I'm not going to walk over there. But that's how most of the robberies we did took place. Now, down in Florida, you'll read in my book once again. For those of you who had not got my book and you want to learn more about exactly who I am, what I did, and so forth, please buy that book. Visit my website, theaccidentalgangster.com. All that is right in my profile, okay? Because, folks, I've done so many things Sometimes I forget about them. Now, right now, there's talks at a studio here in Los Angeles. Okay, they want me to use their studio. Happens to only be a few blocks from where I live. Okay, and they're on the phone right now, actually talking. And my sort of manager is putting a deal together where I'll be doing live shows talking about my gangster stories in a studio. I'll be doing that. So you're going to want to subscribe, put your notifications on, okay? And hit that like button, okay? Because, folks, you're going to hear stories about Hollywood, things that I done in Hollywood, okay? Sometimes when I think back, I amaze myself at what I have done on these 81 years of my life on this earth. You think someday I'm going to be one of these fossils over here? Huh? What do you think? Huh? Oh my God. I Not a lot of people here today. Or maybe they're inside already. I don't know. But there were a lot of buses over there. So, folks, you love to hear gangster story, and they will be coming up on my videos. These stories are not all going to be here on my live show. Now, I know a lot of you love my live shows. And some of you hate it, okay? It is what it is, all right? But, enjoy. I hope I help you out with some of the advice. I mean, look at this is a Labrea Tar pitch. Okay, my children are in their 50s now. Okay, so you know how many years ago I was here with them? I mean, they keep digging things up. To this day, they are still finding fossils buried deep in these tar pits. All right, and kept there with that. So, folks, I show you that was used to be Marie Callender's restaurant. It was a good restaurant. You probably all heard of Marie Callender's. All right, pies. All right, she was famous for her pies. Okay, and man, you get a lot of people in here at the beach on this Friday, huh? But let's take a walk. Okay, let's see if anybody wants to come in. Okay. Mayfield bus lines. Where's Mayfield? I don't even know. Okay? You see? Mayfield. Yeah, all Mayfield. So there's a school that brought their students here today. All right? So I wanted to show you where that took place. But in Florida, all my robberies, those jewelry stores, folks, because people wanted to be robbed. Now, some of them were not, I gotta admit, but we had a tipster. See, we had a tipster that would say, there's $250,000. When he said there's 250,000, that's how much we would get after we sold what we would rob. But the owner of the store would put a claim in. He got robbed for $550,000. So who really made the most money? You understand how everything works in this economy, especially in the robbery business? And folks, we got some nice stuff. Now watches. We got a lot of Rolex, Patty Philippe, very expensive watches. Folks, we didn't bring those to our normal jewelers on 47th Street in New York. Is where I went back and sold our inventory. Okay? No. You know why? They all got serial numbers on. But we have one guy in Miami who bought them all and he shipped them to Europe. Okay? One-stop shop, we called him, for watches. Artwork, we never took artwork. You only steal artwork when you have a buyer for it. If you don't have a buyer, don't steal it. And I don't want none of you going out stealing. Okay, folks, this is the world famous Wilshire Boulevard corridor. Okay? See that office building over there? I was there many times. My dear friend, John Daly. Now, who is John Daly? Well, let me tell you who he is. Without John Daly, there's no Oliver Stone. John Daly did the Terminator. Remember the Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger? That was John Daly. Remember Platoon? John Daly. Remember Hoosiers with Dennis Hopper. All right? I think Gene Hackman was in there too. Okay? Remember that role that Dennis Hopper played in Hoosiers? Folks, he almost was not given that role. He auditioned for it with John Daly's executives, and they didn't want him because he had a very bad reputation here in Hollywood. Nobody wanted him because he was a drunk. He was a real serious drunk. But he ran in my friend John at a party in Malibu. And he went up to John and he said, John, I auditioned. You got to give me that part. I was born to play that part. That is me. That was written for me. And John, in his beautiful English accent, said, Dennis, I have to go over the heads of my executives. Let me check with them. And you know what? John went over the heads of his executive and gave Dennis that part in the movie Hoosiers. The rest is history, folks. Remember Denzel Washington? Julia Roberts? James Cameron? John Daly gave them all their starts in the entertainment industry. They don't make them like John no more, folks. Okay? Now I'm going to be telling you a story of my introduction into Hollywood. Who made that introduction, how it happened, with Dino De Laurentiis, Russ Serpi, Carlo Ponti. All names you haven't heard of. But let me give you one name you have heard of. Sophia Loren. So you're going to want to be hearing that stories, folks. So please subscribe, like, and hype. I guess that hype helps, doesn't it, Mandy? Does that hyping help me out? Okay? Huh? No, I'm just no, I didn't serve in the Gulf War. It was a war before that. Okay? Read my book. I know, you get mad when I ask you to buy something. Huh? Okay? Why do you get mad? Okay, everybody else has got something to sell. Why shouldn't I? Now, folks, I want to ask you a very, very important question, and I need your answer. Okay? Part of this new deal that is being put together for me, I'm going to have merchandise to sell: t shirts, coffee mugs, and different other items. How many of you will be interested in purchasing some of those? All right? Please leave me a comment and let me know. I would appreciate that because you are my family and you can help me out. Okay, folks, we're at 46 likes. 46 is all we got here today. All right? I know you got more in there. Come on. Okay? That's 47. Come on, kids, keep going. All right? We got to get to at least 50 this morning. Okay? And it is Friday. And I have to call my son back in Florida because it's his birthday. And folks, if you're not following my son's business, okay, if you're interested in some masterful construction of swimming pools, please go to Facebook or Instagram and look for Spado Pool Construction. And you're going to see some of the most amazing, beautiful swimming pools you ever saw. Okay? Both residential and commercial. You're going to see some of the biggest swimming pools you've ever seen built by Spado. Because when Spado does the work, they get good work done. All right, folks, who's going to be the 50th person to hit that like button? Huh? We got anybody here? Huh? Come on. Hit that like button. Okay? We have 15 people here now. Yeah, somebody did. Thank you so much. All right? Well, folks, here I am. I sit in my car. Okay? I'm going to go get something. I have not had breakfast today. And somebody's been calling me from prison. It's another story you want to hear. I'm going to give you his name: Jimmy Henchman. Real name: Jimmy Rose Mead. Huh. Hey, folks, I got dry lips over here. All right. All right, everybody. You have a great, awesome Friday. It's beach weather here. God bless you all. All my love and respect to all of you. All right? All right? Uh, he's 111. Beskar said, he's in his 80s, Elias. Elias. What did Elias say? I didn't see that. Okay. Hi, Sheridan. How are you? Beskar, look okay for 81? God bless him. Still here. Okay. All right. How many people you see 81 years old doing what I do? All right? You don't see many, do you? Okay? I'm blessed, folks. You know why? Because I work hard. I'm always day. Okay? Yeah. All right? Yeah, folks. I love women. Okay? So we got any women here from Los Angeles area, let me know. Okay? Folks, we all age differently. Everybody. Okay? You got to stay active. You got to eat properly. You don't need all these freaking medications you see that freaking advertise you. Okay? You could all do it yourself. Do you love yourself enough to make yourself healthy? I do. I try to get my steps in every day. Sometimes it's hard. I'll admit it. Sometimes I have to push myself, but I do it. We got to do what we got to do. Mm. Everybody still wants to hear about the jail that I robbed. All right, folks, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Mandy, you remind me, and I'll do that story tomorrow. Okay? Because for some reason today, we don't have a lot of people in here. And most of the people only scroll anyway. Most people don't listen. Okay? And folks, I'm the type of guy. You put me on stage with 1,000, 2,000 people in the audience, I could talk for hours. Okay? I could keep going. But I like to see people who love what I'm saying. Can you blame me? All right. So tomorrow, all right, make sure you're subscribing to my channel. Got your notifications on. Like, hype, and all that good stuff. All right, everybody, I'm out of here. Take care.